When it comes to Halo, it's not too often that we see some massive crossover events. Sure, we might see little things like a Warthog course in Microsoft's favorite franchise, Forza, or maybe a skin in a game like Sea of Thieves. But not too often do we ever see a crossover event that just aims to celebrate the franchise by creating something overflowing with Halo atmosphere. And this is where, of all things, Minecraft came into play. All the way back in 2014, Halo and Minecraft did a crossover where something called the Halo Mashup pack would be available for Minecraft Xbox 360 edition and later Xbox One edition, and it was pretty weird and pretty awesome at the same time. Okay, to be fair, honestly, first impressions when this released, I was not interested in it at all. I just thought it was a really weird, cheap cash grab. I also was a poor college freshman, so Microsoft wasn't getting $3.99 from me. So I totally missed out on this Halo Minecraft mashup when it first initially released. But as this Halo drought seems to never be ending, Luke and I decided it'd be really cool to look back at stuff like this and take a closer look at how Microsoft teamed up with Mojang and 343 and 4J Studios to create some sort of celebration of Halo. It was actually really impressive. Now, with Luke and I wanting to look into this, we did run into a pretty big problem early on. Essentially, the official release of this was on the Xbox 360 and Xbox One editions of Minecraft, and Xbox kind of has this unified Windows 10 version that's on the Xbox store now, and they want you to play that version instead of the Xbox One version. You probably can access the map that was used for this thing, but we wanted to see it in its purest form, so Luke and I had to figure out how to go back and install the Xbox One versions of Minecraft on our Xbox Series X's. But once we figured that out, we were able to access the store, which of course is still functioning, and give our entire monthly check of Patreon money to Microsoft in order to get this mashup pack, so thank you to our patrons. And finally, we could experience this Halo celebration for everything that it was. We started up the game, took our first steps out into the world, looked around, and it was Minecraft. But it was Halo Minecraft, and it actually was pretty special. In this mashup pack, not only did they do a texture pack that is inspired by Halo, but they also added a ton of Halo skins, Halo background music, and the most interesting part by far is the world that you're able to play on serves as a big Halo museum of sorts where you can go to iconic locations from various Halo games. So while we kind of thought this would be some silly texture pack that would maybe have some cool blue lights on some stone blocks or something, we ended up getting this really cool world with a Halo ring and everything. In the opening area where we just started off, it was pretty obvious right away that we were at the drop pod crash site from the second level of Halo Combat Evolved. We had a little drop pod, some supplies were scattered around, and you could even see that bridge that so many players have accidentally fallen off to. So of course, to get in the right feel for this, Luke and I had to make sure we picked the right characters to play as for this playthrough, and there's actually quite a few different options that were included in the character pack for this bundle. You could play as the Master Chief, Cortana, Red Cortana, Johnson, Keys, Halsey with one arm, Noble Team, and Rookie. There's actually a ton of characters that were added into this as well, and prior to Halo 5 Guardians release, they even added a few more characters that were going to be in Halo 5 Guardians. So after we walked around a little bit in the opening area from where Halo took place, we did notice a couple of interesting things like a drop pod, and while this area wasn't one-to-one identical to the Halo counterpart, it still was really cool how they managed to shape the landscape to resemble that of what we experienced in the real Halo level. Eventually, after wandering around for a bit and getting lost, we found this foresty area with a pathway leading up to the trees. Before long, we made our way into this big open structure, which very obviously was a recreation of the Halo 3 multiplayer level Guardian. Now, unfortunately, this wasn't the cut lost Guardian level from Halo 3's campaign that we've talked about on this channel before. That would be really cool, but it was a really accurate recreation of the multiplayer map in the form of Minecraft of all things. It was really cool just to be able to walk around this and see this level transported completely into a very different type of game. Sure, sometimes the proportions aren't exact, but for the most part, you could very easily tell that this was Guardian, and they threw it in the forest, which obviously helped helped the cause as well. From there, we made our way inward and found this central hub type area, which essentially is the main place where you're supposed to go and then pick which Halo area you want to go and visit next. Each entranceway was labeled with a sign telling you where you're going, so we decided to make the long journey to the Silent Cartographer, one of Halo Combat Evolved's most iconic levels of all time. We walked down this pathway for quite a while, and there were some boats that were waiting for us, and after having to deal with some Halo-inspired mobs, we took the little rowboats and swam over to the main Silent Cartographer island. This one was really cool just because it was a much larger scale recreation, and while some things look a little bit janky, like the warthogs for example, I don't know, it looks hilarious to look at the Minecraft warthogs. They're just really scuffed but also incredibly endearing at the same time. We kind of wandered around the island a bit and then made our way inward as we would as if we're playing the level normally. We fought some imaginary hunters where we would have normally expected the hunters to be. I tried to see if the Combat Evolved Anniversary terminal would work. It obviously didn't. And then we made our way backwards around into the inside area, and we were ready to fight whatever was inside. There wasn't really anything. So we walked down and pressed the button that would normally unlock the door later on in the level. We decided we were going to go after that skull that's on top of the tunnel that's incredibly impossible to get to. Luckily, there wasn't actually a skull there, so we didn't have to really try. And then from there, we made our way back out. We took a shortcut down to the lower area and decided to walk over to the main part of the level where you would go way down underground to get the cartographer. We made our way up in this very accurate looking tunnel into the main building, and unfortunately from there it kind of just cuts off there. They didn't go as far as actually detailing the full underground area. I don't know how that would work and how they would be able to scale it all. They just put doors where you would normally head down and you can't really go down, but still it was cool just to see the overall Silent Cartographer island realized in a game like Minecraft that once again was an official release. Also along the way we were really looking into some of the mobs to see what they were based off of from the Halo franchise, and throughout our journey we ran into various different mobs, like this thing that we're pretty sure was the Arbiter, maybe not. Later on, we actually found a Moa, which was just absolutely hilarious that they took the chicken and put a Moa skin on it. It was just genius. But after Silent Cartographer, we decided to make our way over to Blackout, which was really interesting because Halo 3 recreated Lockout in a different way, which obviously was Blackout, and when they were choosing to remake this area for Minecraft, they went with the Blackout option. And it does kind of make sense because the way that a lot of the structure in Halo 3 was built was just a little bit wider at some times and had less narrow pathways. When you're trying to translate something into the form of Minecraft, it makes sense why they went for the bigger option. But it was cool that they put this in the snowy, icy area, fitting into the Blackout aesthetic. We walked around for a bit looking at all of the different angles. We noticed there wasn't a basketball hoop like the real Blackout, sadly enough, but even the recreation was pretty spot on here. Unfortunately, Luke couldn't do this little shortcut jump that we normally do whenever we play on this level in real Halo, but outside of that one little complaint, and of course the long staircase we had to climb up to get up into the structure in the first place, this was a really cool recreation as well. Next up though, we were traveling into the desert to look at Sandtrap itself and uncover whatever mysteries lie there. Once again, Sandtrap was really cool just because it really did an interesting job recreating the structure from Halo 3 and making it actually look like the level itself. Sure, they don't go for 100% accuracy, making sure each speck of sand is accurately portrayed, and not every sand dune is at the exact angle and height that it was in Halo 3, but it's still cool that they put this together and made it look so real to Halo. Now, I will admit, I did go into the underground and tried digging down to see if there was something buried under Sandtrap. All I found were some rocks. Next, we made our way over to Valhalla, and honestly enough, Valhalla did feel a little bit weird just because this level in general, while it is somewhat resembling a symmetrical map, it's still curvy and really hard to translate, I think, into this Minecraft block type world, but they still did a really good job with it. It was just sometimes I couldn't tell what side of Valhalla I was standing on while I was standing there, but they did a pretty good job at building the bases and getting the river that runs through it. The waterfall might not be as grandiose as I remember it being in Halo 3, but seriously, I'm not going to nitpick a Halo recreated map in this Minecraft realm. They still got the giant wall there and the the crashed-ish pelican, which is cool. Actually, while we're on the topic of the crashed pelican, it was really cool how they replaced some of the paintings and stuff with textures from Halo, whether it's some small UNSC reference or straight up Virgil from ODST. It was a really cool touch. But after looking at Valhalla, we actually were more impressed by the Minecraft take on Blood Gulch, which definitely seemed a lot more accurate to the real Blood Gulch version, and it was cool to walk around this massive area or this canyon and contemplate why we were actually there in that canyon. There is a banshee on this level, which is pretty great because it's just sitting there, and once again, it's the Minecraft version of the banshee, so in this case, it's much more imaginative and endearing than maybe accurate as a banshee. But after we finished up this section, we believe that we had saw all the main attractions that were set up for this, so we reloaded up the level in creative mode just to make sure we weren't missing out on anything else. Now this time, since we could fly around and look around at various areas, we did find a lot of these little Covenant type sniper towers, which were all over the place, which kind of helped fill in the gaps where there wasn't necessarily a level. They did have more vehicles in various places too, like some ghosts next to some more warthogs. They did have the scarab and also the mammoth on this map as well, and you can go into the scarab and you can go into the mammoth to an extent, and it is really cool that there's just these giant vehicles that are just there, which are pretty neat. We also found another crashed pelican in the process, just hanging out here. One thing we definitely did not expect to find though was when we went back towards the beginning and found an underground pathway that took us into the nether. And once we loaded into the nether, we were very, very impressed. Right away, you see this giant didact cryptum just taking up a massive portion of the inside, and that was just really cool in general, and probably the coolest Halo 4 related thing that they did put into this. We did try to go inside of it, there wasn't really anything to it, and then oh my god, the ghast is Virgil from Halo 3 ODST, and it literally was the greatest thing I've ever seen in all of Halo. I know it's an engineer, but it's adorable, it's menacing at the same time, and it's just a very, very clever design for something Halo related. Also, upon a little more exploration in the nether, we did find that there was the flood hidden away deep down there, and while they're kind of not really moving too much, they are menacing and a little bit creepy at the same time.
Also, real quick, this little area, it's like a reference to that scene from Halo C where Cortana is like, oh, that doesn't look like a natural cave formation. Someone must have put it here or something, you know, like high IQ stuff.
So then from there, we did wonder what would happen if we went to the end, and when we did go there, it didn't really seem like anything too massive was changed in the end to be Halo themed. It could have been cool if they turned the giant dragon into something else like a Covenant carrier. I don't know how they would do that, but I wasn't complaining. And honestly, this overall recreation of the Halo world was really, really well done. There were so many little details also that we caught along the way. All of the weapons and tools are repurposed in one way or another to kind of fit into the Halo aesthetic. Some things are really cool, like instead of a sword, you have an energy sword. Luke had a needler for a while.
Real quick, I just wanted to add also, you can wear the Recon helmet, the Raider helmet, the EOD helmet, some Elite helmet, and the Venator helmet, which is actually also kind of cool.
There also were these little sound discs that were laying around that we could put into a jukebox, but it seemed like for whatever reason they weren't working. They were just playing the regular music that would play when you played Minecraft Vanilla. But it didn't really matter because overall, this world had an outstanding original Halo soundtrack accompanying it, which definitely helped build the atmosphere for this Minecraft world. And while, of course, this world was built to the limitations of Minecraft Xbox 360 back in the day, and it's not the biggest world in all of Minecraft when you fly around in creative mode, it still made excellent use of the space available to create some really awesome homages to Halo from over the years. After we were done with it, I realized we could have still played on this map and experienced everything we did and just not have the option to save if we would have gone for the trial instead of buying the map, so rest in peace. But ultimately, we couldn't be too mad about buying the Halo edition of Minecraft because while we only spent maybe 2.5 hours or so just exploring every nook and cranny that we could, we had a really good time doing it too as Halo fans, especially because this was something that we completely missed out on and now is relatively rare since you can't play the exact version with the music and everything else in the Windows 10 version, or at least not that we know how to. So it was definitely something that we thought was really, really cool to take a look at and get a closer look at. And it's stuff like this that does make us wonder about the future of Halo. What other crossovers will we get to see into the future? Stuff like this that ends up being really cool makes us a lot more forgiving when we see things like Master Chief pop up in Fortnite and we see Blood Gulch recreated in Fortnite, because these type of crossovers can lead to some really cool experiences if you're a Halo fan, and also show Halo off to a different player base that might not know anything about Halo beforehand. And so what if we're playing Halo Infinite at some point and some kid is saying that they're playing that character from Fortnite? It's okay, right? But anyways, if you enjoyed this video, make sure you guys hit the like button down below and subscribe with notifications on for more things at Halo just like this. That's it for today though. We'll see you all next time with a brand new video.